Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for another Cypher reaction. That is right, another Cypher reaction on the channel. Today we are reacting to The Underground. Seems Underground Sound is shooting this on a helipad. I do want to support the fact that they are doing this, so we'll give it a thumbs up. Premature thumbs up. They found the most above ground possible place for an underground Cypher. Seems the first person we are, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. The first person we're going to see a Cypher performance from is Captain Swag. Listen, out of this whole list, I'm familiar with Too Slimy, whose music I've covered before on the channel. I don't know if I'm familiar with anybody else. Also, another thing to note is this freestyle performance also contains 10 different people, but it's half the length of the On the Radar performance. So expect half the length of what everybody's going to be doing here, I guess. Swag. We're starting with the minion. Of course, Captain Swag is dressed like a minion. We're just dropping pre-recorded songs. This isn't even a Cypher. What is going on? Also, okay, let's put it bluntly. That sucked ass. Like, that was just Lil B's whole shtick and flow from over 10 years ago. That's literally all that was. Just listen to Lil B. Lil B is still here. And not only that, but he did it better. He didn't even do it funnier or more interesting. That was just much shittier Lil B. Wow, holy shit, what a rough start. That was terrible. I guess the upside to that is it can only get better, right? Like, this has to be better than the last one. Next up is Hollow Tip Hero. That was it? I mean, he came more aggressive, sounded a little more modern there, but you know, to Captain Swag's credit, I guess he had a little bit more of a sense of tempo there. That was also pretty awful. Yeah, the compression was pretty bad. It was pretty unlistenable. I have no idea how to rank this right now. We'll figure it out as we go along. Next is Laid. Oh, okay, that's it. All right. Okay, best one so far. Not taking anything away from Laid. Best one so far, but I wouldn't say he passed with flying colors either. It just sounded like he was kind of ripping off Lil Uzi Vert there. I don't know if there was anything about his lyricism or his style that I could sort of like draw specifically to him. This just kind of felt like Lil Uzi Vert all over again. What is underground about this? Nothing I've heard so far in terms of the way any of this sounds is underground. Like, Lil B is a known quantity and quite overexposed in terms of like his influence, even if not everybody knows who he is. The sort of like aggressive rage style that Hollow Tip Hero had to offer, like everybody's doing that now. And people know what the fuck Lil Uzi Vert sounds like, so what is Laid doing that's underground? Is it really underground if you're just copying a bunch of like very popular mainstream styles and sounds? What is even the ethos of the underground at this point? It's like not underground at all. Or at least, like, you know, I'm sure there is an underground. There's always an underground, but is Underground Sound doing the best job of capturing it with this Cypher? I'll say 3 performances in, not so far. Next is, sorry, I'm having to double check with these. I'm having to double take on all these names because I'm like, are people really calling themselves this? Raining LOL. You promised it won't get worse. I said it wouldn't get worse right after Captain Swag. I didn't say it wouldn't get worse in general. And I was, yeah, I guess I was even wrong with that. It did kind of get worse after Captain Swag. So it really does feel like a race to the bottom. It really does feel like everybody's trying to like outworse each other. I don't want to just come straight out and be like a hater. You know, I really don't. And, you know, there are certain underground sounds and artists that I'm most definitely open to. There are artists on top of these kinds of instrumentals that I think are doing some interesting stuff. I do like some of the noisier, more aggressive, almost like inadvertently noise and power electronics leaning production styles that we're like hearing in a lot of underground music these days. But yeah, that sucked ass. That was terrible. Like, the flow was barely there. The vocalizations were goofy as hell. It's very absurdist, but simultaneously kind of like oversaturated in a way, because it sort of feels like a lot of people are kind of chasing this vibe right now and are just getting progressively worse as we're hearing more and more new people attempt it that have no sense of how it got kind of innovated, and they're just kind of trying it just because it's a cool thing to do. Producers are straight carrying the whole underground. No, it's true. Like, you could put a lot of people on these beats and mostly get the same kind of effect. For a guy who's saying he's losing his speech, he was like literally the most coherent dude so far. One of the most coherent dudes so far. Beat kind of carried. It was a cool, interesting beat. The performance wasn't bad, but there wasn't really anything that like stood out about it either. Much like the Laid performance, it was just kind of okay. What is going on? What is even happening? What is this? No, I echo the sentiment in chat. He is just talking. Impressively offbeat. I feel like we need to emphasize that point, because not only is man offbeat, but also like every line, or at least every other line, he's not even recording this in one take, which is very funny. Like, you could do all this in one take and be offbeat, but the dude is like punching in every other line. Usually when a guy like Babytron is punching in, it's because he's saying so much and trying to rattle so much off and wants to make sure that every single line is on beat as he drops it. Dude is punching in every line or every other line, and he's still offbeat. He's not even punching in to stay on tempo. He's just layering the rants on top of each other. He's just layering the talking on top of each other. If all your lines are just you talking, where do you even know to cut them off to punch in for the next line? It's a very interesting concept. I guess I would put that under Hollow Tip Hero. Just everything I thought I was going to hear and I thought I knew, just all of my preconceptions have been smashed. I actually appreciate everyone's audacity here. I mean, this is my ranking so far, but like, trust me, none of this is good. I feel like our man Talindwea is just the top because he was one of the most listenable, and that's it. There was nothing about what that man did that I was like, well, wow. Well, we have a bit of a gem on our hands over here. Let's see what Ivy's does in the Hot Topic Fit. Was that JPEG Mafia's the production tag? Okay, wow. That was also terrible. I feel like out of everybody so far, this guy sounds the most like he could be on Cardi's Opium label. Yeah, Too Slimy up next. Too Slimy. Look, I do find Too Slimy's music interesting. This Cypher performance may suck ass. We'll see. I mean, I use the word performance in quotation because nobody's fucking performing anything here. This is all pre-recorded. I've been seeing so many clips of Too Slimy's performance of people just kind of laughing, being like, oh, this is terrible, this is shit, so on and so forth. I'm surprised we haven't seen more clips from other people in this freestyle. Like, literally, there have been just at least 3 poo-poo doo-doo freestyles, ciphers that we've seen so far that were way worse than at least the 3 or 5 seconds I've caught of the Too Slimy cipher. Who knows? Maybe it gets worse than the couple of clips and bits that I've seen, but like, my God, man. My God. Man, you gotta love the bass on that track. I thought the Too Slimy bit was okay. I mean, if that were a pre-recorded thing that landed on his newest album, it probably wouldn't be in like my top 3 of favorite tracks or anything like that. He had the most original sounding cipher bit of anybody so far. I'll say that. If you played me just the audio of all of these and I heard that, I'd be like, oh, that's got to be Too Slimy or something Too Slimy adjacent. Literally nobody else here so far outside of maybe Illuri. I don't think I would hear again in another context and be able to recognize. You know, I would hear Illuri and be like, oh, that's that guy that just punches in and yells over himself. That's that guy that sounds like he's in an argument with himself. I'm too old for this. Listen, you're not too old for this. You're really not too old for this. Just because there are a lot of young people who listen to this and will listen to this, and I do want to stress this, do not allow that to psych you out into thinking like, oh, I'm too old for music. I'm too old for this. I don't get it. Because here's the thing, like this represents everything that we're seeing here. All these artists, if you brought all of their monthly listener numbers together into one group, it would be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the broader world of music that all young people are listening to today. Don't allow the hype behind this to psych you out into thinking like, oh man, I'm getting too old for music, especially considering like half of these guys, and again, this is supposed to be like the underground. This is the new gen. This is the new gen, the new underground. Half of these guys just ripped off the sounds of rappers that were popular on SoundCloud 10 years ago. There's nothing new about what half of these guys did. There's nothing new about what Captain Swag did. What Captain Swag did, Lil B was doing in 2009. It's not even new. And at this point, how many years has Playboi Carti been around? Like, sure, you know, his influence is manifesting in a lot of newer, younger artists right now, but the sound itself isn't brand new. Like, the roots of it have been around since Die Lit. Obviously, they became intensified around Whole Lotta Red, but even that record is not a spring chicken anymore at this point. So again, please do not buy into the propaganda that like, I'm getting too old for this or da-da-da-da-da, especially when most of the ideas that we're hearing here aren't even new. And look, I'm not trying to insult anyone's intelligence, but it really is a stupid argument and a stupid point for somebody young who listens to any of this. And listen, when you're young, listen whatever the fuck you want. I can't judge. I listened to fucking Limp Bizkit when I was 14. Okay, you think I'm gonna come on here and be like, oh, listen here, 14-year-old, you're listening to crap. You know, don't buy into the propaganda that this is like a new thing that you don't get because it's like it's new. 6 Bill is next. Look at me, Mario made it geek. Who hired me, who fly. Is that it? Okay, that was it. I'm going to put him above Too Slimy. It was vibey. There was a flow to it. The beat choice wasn't bad. His bars were coherent, but at the end of the day, a lot of what he did there, he just kind of sounded like a more distorted, industrial, heavier, like Future. If this is what's representing the underground now, what is it? Is it rebelling against something, rejecting something, doing something alternative to what we perceive the mainstream in hip hop to be? If anything, again, like a lot of the sounds that these guys are dabbling in are very well established, popular sounds in hip hop and have been known quantities for years. They're just doing more distorted, less commercially viable versions of them with little to no changes to the baseline formula. And is that an underground? All right, last one over here. Coming from Matt Proxy. Like the ocean tides are shifting. No, it's my time. I've been sprinting. No, I'm bitch on my dick. On my mama, I might slap a bitch. What the fuck was that? What? What's going on? Is that change for real? He was so close. I mean, it kind of sounds like, I mean, we're about to jump into it a little bit more, but it sounds like he's almost switched up to a little Yachty type flow. I could teach you how to joke, but joking niggas is a passion. Oh my God. I love I love the distortion and compression, like increased 3 times just randomly in the middle of the same portion of the same sounding bit. Oh my God. He's like, you can't even hear his voice. Like, what is even happening at this point? The sound system in my 2000 Toyota 4Runner is exactly what it is. Just like a blown out, maxed out, tricked out sound system, just turned all the way up. I think this would be my ranking. Does this make sense? Best at the top, worst at the bottom. Maybe you guys take issue with my placement of Matt Proxy there. Maybe you don't even remember that Matt Proxy was the last guy in the lineup that we just saw. Too Slimy is way too high. I guess the Talonwaya guy was more listenable, but he was more generic, so I don't know. I could see myself maybe putting him under Laid. The Captain Swag was just way too annoying to me for Too Slimy to go underneath Captain Swag. Maybe we'll put him between Talonwaya and Laid. I think this is my list. Matt Proxy's performance was definitely the weirdest and the funniest and had a decent intro. You got to give it to him on the intro. The intro was the best rapping we've heard of the whole thing. And the transition and the way that it just got more distorted and was
kind of turning down randomly in terms of the volume. It was definitely unique. You got to give it that. I don't really know what else, what other metric to judge it by. If this is all that's holding the underground together, I don't know if the underground's going to be a thing for much longer. Look, as cool and as neat as I think some of what Too Slimy is doing is, and Osama-san and so on and so forth, like, it sort of seems like the only logical conclusion for anybody in the underground now to take things from this point, just as our, good friend Matt Proxy there was kind of exemplifying, is just to get more and 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 more distorted to the point where what you're doing is completely unlistenable, or, just as listenable as like a Merzbow recording, which, I mean, of course, there's an audience for that. There you go. My thoughts on the underground sound Cypher.